The Holy Bible may preach peace, but when it is Christendom itself that is threatened, then it is every Christian's duty to defend all that is holy. His Holiness the Pope has called a crusade to reclaim the Holy Lands from the infidel, who would deny Christian pilgrims their right to visit the holy places. It is time for the armies of Christendom to put aside their differences and unite under one banner, the sign of the cross, and give back God's children what is rightfully theirs, or die trying.
Following the successful siege of Antioch in June 1098, the crusading army found itself weakened by disease, casualties, and political divisions. The Byzantine Emperor Alexios had expected the Crusaders to return Antioch to imperial control, but Bohemond of Taranto claimed the city for himself, creating a deep rift with Raymond IV, Count of Toulouse, and other crusading leaders. By late 1098, frustrated by the internal quarrels, Raymond IV led an attack on the fortress of Marat al-Numan in November, seizing the city in December after a brutal siege. The subsequent winter delay caused widespread frustration among the Crusaders, who were determined to press on toward Jerusalem with or without their noble leaders. Finally, on January 13th, 1099, Raymond set out southward, taking the coastal route along the Mediterranean. He was accompanied by Robert of Normandy and Tancred, though other leaders such as Godfrey and Robert of Flanders chose to proceed separately, eventually joining the main force near Acre. Bohemond, focused on consolidating his rule over Antioch, withdrew from the Jerusalem campaign altogether. The march south encountered little resistance, as many local Muslim rulers were wary of provoking the Crusaders and opted to pay tribute to avoid conflict. Raymond besieged the city of Acre in February, hoping to intimidate local emirs and secure additional wealth. Despite delays at Acre, the main body of the crusading army regrouped by the spring of 1099. Meanwhile, the Fatimid governor of Jerusalem, Iftikhar al-Dawla, well aware of the approaching Crusader host, took decisive measures to fortify the city's defenses. He expelled the Christian population from Jerusalem and called in reinforcements from Egypt, even poisoning the well around. By early June 1099, after 3 years since the Council of Clermont, the combined Crusader forces reached the outskirts of Jerusalem. After only 1 week of siege, Duke Godfrey of Bouillon attacked the northern walls, while Count Raymond of Toulouse from the southern section. Initial assaults failed due to the strong defenses, lack of siege engines. Driven by desperation and rumors of a Fatimid relief army, the Crusaders intensified their efforts after Genoese ships arrived at Jaffa, providing materials. They constructed 2 siege towers, a battering ram with an ironclad head, and numerous scaling ladders. Inspired by a vision, the clergy called for a spiritual renewal. The entire army undertook a 3-day fast, confessed sins, forgave each other. The final assault began on the 13th of July. They faced fierce resistance. Saracens on the walls rained down arrows. Crusader mantlets and the siege tower itself were repeatedly set ablaze. Despite heavy losses and exhaustion, the assault continued relentlessly through the day and night. Raymond's forces also faced fierce resistance and terrible losses. Recognizing the stalemate on the northern front, the Crusaders made a daring decision. Under cover of darkness, they disassembled their siege tower and moved it almost a mile eastwards to a less fortified section of the northern wall. This Herculean effort, completed by dawn on July 15th, astonished both the Crusaders and the defenders. Saracens rushed to reinforce this newly threatened sector. Godfrey's siege tower was rolled into place. Crusader archers unleashed volleys of firebrands onto the defenders manning the ramparts opposite the tower. Around midday, the crucial moment arrived. From the siege tower, Godfrey broke down the defense and the Crusaders entered into city streets. Panic spread among the defenders. Raymond's forces on the southern front, who had been locked in a bitter struggle, saw the Frankish banners appearing on the northern walls and heard the cries of triumph. Raymond rallied his men, shouting, "Why do you loiter? Lo, the Franks are even now within the city." This spurred a final, desperate push. Seeing the city lost, Iftikhar ad-Dawla surrendered the Tower of David to Raymond and escaped. What followed was a horrific massacre, vividly described by the chroniclers. Gesta Francorum. When the pagans had been overcome, our men seized great numbers, both men and women, either killing them or keeping them captive, as they wished. Later, they cast all the Saracen dead outside because of the great stench. Funeral pyres were formed from them like pyramids. Tancred reportedly offered protection to some Muslims sheltering on the roof of the Al-Aqsa Mosque, raising his banner over them. However, once the initial frenzy subsided, these survivors were also slaughtered by other Crusaders who overran the area. By the afternoon of July 15th, 1099, Jerusalem was in Crusader hands. In the following days, the leaders elected Godfrey of Bouillon as the secular ruler. The Muslim holy sites on the Temple Mount were swiftly converted into Christian shrines. And the Al-Aqsa Mosque became the Templum Solomones, soon to be the headquarters of the Knights Templar. The news carried swiftly back to Europe.